Hello, and we're back with production. We're going to continue on with doing several different things, such as carrying out the maintenance of materials. We're also going to be carrying out the maintenance of production, and if we can get to it, define the valuation of goods received. So you can see that before we did these steps, we were doing other parts of the rules and parameters, such as setting up the production scheduling profile, and then setting up that production scheduler that is responsible for production scheduling, or the person that's doing it. Then we configured the automatic postings and activated material requirement planning, defined checking control, defined the scheduling parameters and the order independent parameters, defining confirmation parameters. So there are a lot of different rules and parameters going into production. Now this one that we're doing today is carrying out the maintenance of materials, and this is the first of two steps where we're going to specify MRP parameters. In this step, we're going to be specifying the number scheme by which the production orders and other production related transactions will be numbered. So we've got to set up numbering ranges. Does that sound familiar? Well, it should. We set up number ranges in financial accounting and controlling and so many different other areas. It's very important that as a control within the system that we have a way to number sequentially the documents that are being created in our system. So for example, we're going to have a planned production order from our Dallas plant. We also need to set up an MRP controller, which is a planner, or it can also be used for a group of planners that are responsible for the day-to-day planning activities. So just like just about anything that we do, we want to have a plan, a game plan, so we can set up a planned order that can then be converted into a production order. So where are we going to go for this? We're going to go into the same transaction SPRO. We're going to go into the SAP reference IMG. We're going to go into materials management. We'll go into consumption-based planning. We'll go into plant parameters. We'll go into carry out overall maintenance of plant parameters. Now you can see that we have create, maintain, delete, and copy in this area. Please do not delete anything if you see that there. We don't want to do that. We want to create. And so we see that we're going to be putting our plant in Dallas in here. If you cannot remember what yours is, you can put your search term in, and you can see that our Dallas plant should be DL and the last two digits of our ID. Now, obviously, the 88 is mine, and we're going to click the Create button, and we're going to have to click Create again. You have to create the plant parameters to maintain the individual parameters with the help of the configuration menu. So you can see that with configuration, it kind of guides you through what it is that you're supposed to do. The creation of plant parameters does not replace the maintenance of individual parameters. If you want to use the same parameters that already exist in available plants, you can copy them. So you can see that we could copy this if we wanted to, but we're going to use the create. Now it says that the plant parameters for the plant DL88 can now be maintained. This should be related to your plant, not mine, because you're most likely not going to have 88. I usually don't have 88 students in my class. I'm just using this one because 88 is a cool number. Okay, so we've got this maintain that we can click on, and now you can see that when we click it, it says maintain, and we can press on maintain again. And I guess I didn't click it properly, so it didn't come up. And then you can see that we've got all these different selections here. The first one we're going to click on is the number ranges. And we're going to click on the number ranges for planned orders. So you can see all these different number ranges that we could have for reservations, for purchase requisitions, for MRP lists, for simulative dependent requirements. But we're just going to worry about the planned orders right now. You should get a message that says one entry chosen when you click on this. And then we need to enter in the number range of the planned orders is 0, 1. And that's really all we have to do, believe it or not, and we can click on the Save button. We should then get a message that says data was saved. and we can click our back button, which is the F3 button, or this green arrow that's looking to the left. The next thing we're going to do is click on the reservations dependent requirements, which is right here. And we're going to enter in for this NR STK TRNS RES. I'm not really sure what that means. It's like some type of number range. We're also going to enter 01 and click the save button. And we should get a message that says data was saved, like we did before. Click on the green arrow back button, and we're going to click the number ranges for the purchase requisitions as well, which is also 01. We're going to click the save button and get a message data was saved. Click the back button, MRP lists. Number range is 01. We can click the save button and get that data was saved, and click the back button. So you can see, did I do them or I didn't do them? This is probably one of the places where students are famous for getting into problems. They might get a text message or decide to do a Snapchat right here in between purchase requisitions and MRP lists, and so they think they did it, but they really didn't do it. So here's a place you can double check your work and make sure that you truly maintained the work that you think you did. So we're going to go into the simulation for dependent requirements and also put in 01. Click the save button. You'll get the data was saved message, and we can click the arrow message back again. And then we're going to click it back again. And we should be in the maintain plant parameters screen. Now we have to look for MRP controllers. Now this is another one that we can see that we can look at maintained or if it needs to be maintained. So we're going to click on the MRP controllers, and you can see that we need to click a new entry. And remember what I talked to you about that the MRP controllers were for? They are responsible for material planning. So we can go into our plant, and remember this is our Dallas plant. We can put in our search term if we would like to here and find our Dallas plant, or we probably wrote it down from before, which is the DL and the last 2 digits of our ID. Then we're going to put in our MRP controller of 0 and the last 2 digits of our ID. And we can put in our numbers and DL controller. If you want to put your initials, you can put your initials there too. Or it's not really going to let you do that, so you can just put their first initial if you would like to. And then we can click the save button. Now we could go in and put the telephone number or some other information about that MRP controller here, but we're not going to worry about it. So we're going to click the back button, and it's going to say only one entry was chosen. In this change view, we're going to click the arrow button back again. And we're going to click the arrow button back again. And now it should show that it was maintained unless you did something that you weren't supposed to do. And if you did, you can always go double check and make sure that you have maintained it. Now, you can see with this initial just means that it's got some initial settings that were already pre-configured in the system. We're now going to go into the floats for the maintain plant parameters, and we're going to click on new entries. Now we're going to put in our Dallas plant. So it's DL and the last 2 digits of our ID. Then you can see that we have to put in under the scheduling margin key 001. The opening period, we've got to put in 1. What do you think that means? January. FI before, or float before, FL before, FL after is 1. So this is float after production in days, float before production in days, and the operating period is 1. And right here, this says release period in days is 1 as well. So now we're going to click on the Save button. And you should get a message, data was saved. We'll now click on the Back button. You should get a message, only one entry is chosen. Click the green arrow Back button, and you'll now be in the availability dependent requirements, which is down here. And you should get a message that says one entry chosen, which you did. And in the change view, you should be able to enter this, or it's actually showing it for me already. So we can click the Save button, and it's telling me that data was already saved, but let's see. Let me make sure I did this correctly. Availability check, availability dependency requirements. Oh, I need to put it in here for DL88. Yeah, one entry chosen. Let me make sure I have this correct. Click the Save button. Data already saved. It's saying it was already saved. Click the Back button. It doesn't look like it's doing it. Anyway, we won't worry about it because it's still saying that it needs to be maintained, but it should. Oh, here it is. That's why. Okay, so you're going to have to delete what's in here. Okay. So now we're going to go into the availability dependent requirements, and you're going to enter in the DL and your last two digits of your ID. Now what you need to do is you'll probably see your plant already over here, but you will have to go to this availability checking rule, and you're going to need to enter in the PP checking rule, which is down here. And make sure you enter it in. It should just be the letters P and P. And we'll click the Save button. And you should get a message that says data was saved. We'll click the arrow Back button. And you should get a message that says, or you should now go up to external procurement. You should get a message that says one entry is chosen. And you should be in the change view default values MRP details screen, which we are. Scheduling info agreement. You're going to select that. And the scheduling lines, you're going to select that one also. For schedule lines are number 3. Unknown account assignment. You're going to put in here that it's unknown, or you. And I don't think it's going to require you to put the purchasing processing time and this, so we're going to click the Save button, and you should get a message that says data was saved. So that pretty much finishes up the requirements that we had for some of the carrying out of the maintenance of materials. Now we're going to go in and do some of the carrying out of the maintenance of production. So this is the second of the 2 steps where we're going to designate the MRP parameters. So we're going to go back out to the SAP reference IMG. We're going to go into production. We're going to go into materials requirement planning. We'll now go into plant parameters. Let's go into carry out overall maintenance of plant parameters. And we're going to go into maintain. And remember which plant this is. It's our Dallas plant, so DL, and the last 2 digits of our ID. We're going to click on Maintain. And you can see we have a lot of selections here as well, like we had before for the material parameters. In the Maintain Plant Parameters, we're going to click on Conversion icon, which is right here. We're going to click on Planned Order to Production Order. For the attribute Production Order, we're going to put in Standard Production Order, which is PP01. That's one of the ones that we're going to be using in Global Bike. And we're going to click the arrow button. I need to go back into it because I didn't save it. We're going to put in PP01, and then we're going to click the Save button. And you should get a message data was saved. Now we're going to go back twice. In the conversion screen, oops, I went back too many times. In the conversion screen, we're going to go into Maintain Plant Parameters. Oops, I think I did. This was right. I came back to the right one. Reporting. Yeah, here it is. In the reporting, we're going to click on it, and we're going to go into Runtime Statistics. And for the display list, we're going to select it. And for the frequency, we're going to enter it 1. You should get a message that says 1 entry chosen. We're going to click Save, and you should get a message that says data was saved, and we'll click the back button. And in the plant parameters reporting, we click back again. And in the bill of materials routing selection, we're going to maintain that. Once you click on that, you should get a message that says 1 entry chosen, which you can see at the bottom. And in the change view, you're going to come into the bill of materials selection ID of 01, which should be for production, and 01, which is for released. Click the Save button. You might get a message that says Maintain Selection ID in the parameters. You can see that it's yellow like this, and that's going to be okay. But it is something that is kind of alerting you to a problem or something that you need to know. So we have to have data was saved. But a yellow message just means kind of like a warning. It's not going to stop you cold in the system. Now let's go back out to the SAP main menu, and we will now define the valuation of goods received. So this is the last of a couple of steps where we configured SAP to automatically post general ledger transactions associated with the production business process. In this one, we're going to specify the GL accounts that are associated with the receive finished goods process step. When you finish a production order and finished goods get received, the inventory is valued at the actual cost as posted to the production order. Now, the finished goods have the moving average price control, or if the finished goods has the moving price control, or it can be at standard cost. So basically what we're trying to do is when we have a goods receipt, that goods receipt comes in as the moving average price or the standard cost. We will have to true this up to the actual cost. There's going to be a production variance that is related to that. But this is where we're going to be setting up the general ledger accounts in the receiving of finished goods process. So this is one of the steps that we're doing here. So let's go into customizing again. We're going to go into the SAP reference IMG. We're going to go into production. We're going to go into shop floor control. We're going to go into integration, define valuation of goods received. We're going to click on new entries, and the valuation area is our Dallas plant, so we're going to put DL88. And if we can't see what this is the valuation variable that determines the price of goods received for materials. And right here you can see that it's saying that this is going to be the actual. So let's go production order actual. So there are different ways you can do this. You can use actual costs, or it can be moving average or standard costs. These can be done in different ways. Here we're showing that it's going to be production order or the actual costs, and we're going to click on save. And you should get a message that says data was saved. That ends the final parts of our business rules and parameters for production. Thank you very much.